let me suggest that subsequently, if you progress in this competition, are you listening to me?
Yes, I am.
There's a place for field research yes, there's a place for field research in some of these major topics that surround governance in Nigeria and so on. You need to always go to the field and interview people. Some of their expressions and their thoughts will be able to help a paper like this. I know you're in the medical sciences, but I mean, there's a place for discussing with people. Those are the, those are the important evidences you can use up to back up some of these things you're saying. Because in the case of that or your experience, I don't really see how it fits into, you know, contemporary governance, considering the fact that the traditional stool has this place, and the traditional stool should not on a normal day kowtow to political governance, if you understand me.
Yes.
But all the same, thank you very much. I think you have attempted something in your essay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Stage of the competition for you. Should you proceed to the next stage, we will contact you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day and do well to exit the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You too.
All right, please confirm if you can hear me. Unmute the mic. Hello, Gift, can you hear me?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome to this stage of the Young Historian competition, the essay writing stage. Your hard work and dedication has brought you this far. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation, after which our judges will ask you questions and give you feedback based on your written work.
Okay.
So on that note, I'll hand the mic over to you. You have 10 minutes. The time starts now. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Okay, the pre-colonial religious and political system of Nigeria and its influence on the present day Nigeria. So G.K. Chesterton once said, he made a quote that tradition means giving votes to the most obscure of all classes, that is our ancestors. It is the democracy of the dead. Now, what does this quote suggest? It suggests that tradition allows our values, wisdom, and decisions of the previous generation to influence the present. And what is the democracy of the dead? It is typically saying that the voices of the past holds more power than the voices of the living. Thus, this is respecting and preserving their legacy and accumulated knowledge. And this perspective, it upholds the continuity of cultural and societal norms by integrating historical wisdom and into our current political society. So how can I relate this to today's topic? Well, why? Because our pre-colonial administrative system has greatly influenced our contemporary governance. Now, before colonial rule, Nigeria had advanced political and religious systems like the Sokoto Caliphate and the Igbo Society. These systems effectively managed large populations and territories while incorporating complex beliefs that played a very significant role in shaping our daily life and political choices, that showcasing Nigeria's rich cultural heritage and its political sophistication. Like I said, we had different pre-colonial administrative systems. By the Sokoto Caliphate, we had the pre-colonial administration of the Yoruba and the Igbo. And now I will first of all talk about the pre-colonial administration of the Yoruba land. And our case study for today would be the Oyo Empire. The ancient Oyo Empire will be used as an illustration. It is one of the most prominent empires in African history. It emanated from the great Yoruba ancestor Oduduwa, who bore a son named Oromiya, and he became the first ruler of the Oyo Empire. The Oyo Empire expanded its territory largely. The system of government of Old Oyo Empire in the period before the 1800s was like most other kingdoms and empires that existed in Africa. It was very monarchical in nature, but with a very complex system of verbs, with a complex system of checks and balances. So it was distinctively constitutional. The Oyo Empire's governance consisted of 4 main components. That was the Oyomesi, the Alafin, the Ogboni court, and the army. So the first, like I said, the first was the Alafin. He was the supreme king. He presided over the state's affairs and equally appointed the army general. But despite his significant power, the Alafin was checked by the Oyomesi. That is to prevent abuse of power. So they checked his excesses. Now we had the Oyomesi. This was the highest legislative and judicial body, and it comprised of 7 hereditary councillors, which were known as the Bashoron. They advised the Alafin and ensured he ruled justly. The third component was the Ogboni. This Ogboni was a secret society. It was led by the Oluwo, which also checked the excesses of the Oyomesi and served as a mediator between the Alafin and the Oyomesi. Then we had the fourth component, who was the army, and this was headed by the Areno Kakanfo, and they were responsible for the defense of the territory. The empire was equally divided into provinces, and each was governed by a provincial governor. They were called the Afonja, with local chiefs who were called the Bales. They governed their respective domains and equally reported to the higher authorities. So for the religious system, the Yoruba kingdom believed in many gods. Example was the Orisha, who controlled different parts of the spiritual world. They also had important gods like the Ogun, the Shango, and the Orunmila. They had the priests and the priestesses, who were the Babalawo and the Iya Lowo. These people acted as bridges between people and the gods. They equally offered guidance and advice to the king, who was known as the Oba, on spiritual matters that affected the community. So these components, these key components, they worked hard in harmony to maintain the empire stability and prosperity. And so moving on, we had the Sokoto Caliphate. They were very vast, and this Sokoto Caliphate, it combined Islamic law and governance. So historically, the Hausa people inhabited a very vast territory in the semi-arid Sahel region. Before 1804, the area was divided into 14 independent Hausa kingdoms, which was the Hausa, Bakwai, and the Banza. But however, the Fulani, which was led by Usman Danfodio, conquered the Hausas in what we call the Holy War, abolishing the kingdoms and establishing the Fulani Emirates, which eventually became the Sokoto Caliphate. They practiced a decentralized system of government, and it was headed by an emirate who oversaw the affairs of the caliphate. So each emirate was headed by an emir. Sokoto and Gwandu were made the two headquarters of the emirates, and the emirs of other emirates were appointed either by the emirs of Sokoto and Gwandu or appointed by the local people, subject to the approval of the emirs of either Sokoto or Gwandu. And all those emirs paid allegiance and annual tribute to the emirs of either Sokoto or Gwandu. Usman Danfodio equally divided the Fulani Empire into two sections, which was the western and the eastern section. The eastern section included Kano, Katsina, and Zaria, while the western section included Ilorin, Kontagora, and Agogo. They were located at the western section. So the emirs appointed a number of officials, yes, and these officials included the Waziri, who was the senior official. He was equally the emir's administrative head and also the prime minister. We had the Madawaki, he was the commander of the army. We had the Galadima, he was the administrator of the capital. We had the Sakin Father, he was the head of the palace workers. We had the Maji, who was in charge of the treasury. We have the Sakin Power, who was in charge of the butchers, and we equally had the Yari, who was officer in charge of the prison. Now, the religious system, Islam became the ruling religion in Hausa land through trade with northern merchants and North African merchants and scholars. Its spread was further solidified by the jihadist war, like I said, the Holy War, and it was aimed at purifying and reforming Islamic practices among the people. The emir, whom embodied both the political and religious leadership, reinforced his ruler's legitimacy by serving as both the state and faith custodian. The Islamic law, which was otherwise known as the Sharia law, formed the foundation of the legal system, and this legal system governed a lot. It governed the personal conduct, it governed criminal justice, and also family law, ensuring that the Islamic moral standards were upheld in governance and daily life. Now, there was also significant religious festivities that showed the land's religious devotion. These, both the religiousness and both the religious lifestyle and equally the political system were intertwined, and this created a theocratic government that combined not only temporal authority and also spiritual leadership. Moving on, we equally had the pre-colonial administration of the Igbos. Now, the Igbos had a very complex system of administration, with powers distributed among various groups rather than just a single central authority. It was very acephalous in nature, and decisions were reached by a consensus. So there was no monarch. Each village had its own set of socio-political structures, including families, age grade, secret societies, Now, the family was the smallest political unit in the Igbo society, and it was headed by the Ofo title holder. So among the Ofo title holder was the most senior, who was known as the Opara, who held the Ozo title and presided over the Council of Elders meeting. We had the Onaeze, it was a form of General Assembly consisting of all male adults in performing legislative functions. We had the Secret Society, who performed rituals intended to wave off evil spirits and also appease the gods for the community. We equally had so they also checked the abuse of power.
Gift, but that's your time. So our judges will be giving you feedback. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, I'll start with Enang. Please, could you give our participants feedback on her presentation and her essay? Thank you.
All right. Gifts. Good afternoon.
Sir, good afternoon.
All right. Let me briefly ask. Perhaps I didn't quite get you. Did you say that from the period 1804? Okay, let me say from the period 1808. Yes. Excuse me, from the period 1808, when Uthman Danfodio had won the war and divided the caliphate into emirates. Did you say that the emirates operated a decentralized system of government? Was that what you said?
Yes. It was not strictly decentralized.
Go ahead. I'll expound on it.
Okay. It was not strictly decentralized because they also, should I use the word, it also shared powers, since we equally had other emirs that was still governing how am I going to say it, the provinces, just like we have in the present in Nigeria, where we have the federal, we also have the states, and we also have the local governments.
All right. I've gone through your work, in fact, and I realized that I don't know. I'm tempted to ask what documentation style is this?
Sir?
What documentation style did you adopt on this work?
I don't understand your question.
What citation did you use? What style of citation? Just permit me to use that word. The style of citation. What did you use? Because I've gone through your work and I can't find any citation here. Now, moving downward to your referencing, I now saw this. And I'm like, what is really happening? Encyclopedia Britannica, Pre-Colonial Nigeria, YouTube lectures on Nigerian pre-colonial history by scholars, pre-colonial political system and colonialism in tropical Africa by Mary Douglas, Sokoto Caliphate by Murray Last. And this is your referencing, style. I don't understand. Was this work a copy and paste?
No, not at all. I did it all by myself. Okay.
And then you consulted these YouTube and other.
I consulted the references before actually forming my essay write-up.
Okay, please. What discipline are you in?
I'm history. I'm in history department.
History department. It's
Yes.
quite unfortunate that as a historian, I expected much more, from you. This does not reflect historical writings, and your documentation is not in tandem with, our method. It's not in tandem. I was expecting that, okay, as a historian, you should have adopted either the mainstream MLA, or, to be more specific, you adopted the Turabian Kate Turabian style or the Chicago manuals of style. I'm sure you must have been taught in your 300 level. So nothing has reflected,
No, I'm not.
history.
I'm not in 300 level.
Okay. But then, I mean, anyway, it's okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so.
Thank you, Enang. Dr. Mira, do you have a thing or two to add to what Enang said? Dr. Mira, can you hear me? Okay, it's like there's a bit of a network glitch. Dr. Oba, can you hear me? All right, seems like they
Okay.
participants a feedback on her presentation. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Work and her presentation. Yes, ma'am.
Forgive to say she's in the Department of History. It just, like Enang said, it leaves a lot to be desired. I think she needs to do more about essay writing. And her referencing is out of this world. It's not acceptable in any writing whatsoever. I don't want to say much.
I wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Suggest to the Restored Heart Foundation and the management, subsequently, it's just a suggestion, right? Subsequently, we should try to be more specific with, our documentation style, because in the course of this, I have also realized that there are a lot of there were contestants who used different documentation styles. Like I even saw the one of the IEE, that's for electrical engineering, but for my knowledge, of its arrangement and all, I probably, could have mistaken it for something else, but I'm just happy that he was able to, do the corresponding, inter citations and the referencing, so they match, but they were entirely far away from our humanities, so from now on, I would just suggest that, the next phase that will be entering, if it will involve, writing or debating or something, or any further research, the management should be specific with the, documentation style to be adopted, so that we know that everything works on the right path. And it will also help us as a rubric, to be able to judge based on, that. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion, and that's duly noted. Dr. Amira, you can unmute and speak.
Well, actually, Enang, I said what I wanted to say. Despite that, I don't have their work, their essays, but I think as young historians, they needed to be guided of a particular referencing method they will use. Because from what those who read their work have been seeing, all of them have been hammering on their referencing style. It is important that the management articulate all those things and include it during the call for entrance. Secondly, I actually want to commend Gift. She really tried by capturing some of the importance issues on the religion and the politics in Nigeria. I don't see where, especially on the side of Igbo society and Yoruba nation, I think she did very well. Let us not, sound as if she had lost the grip of what she was asked to do. For me, she did well in her presentation. The only area which I may not want to speak on is on the essay writing because I don't have the work. So I want to commend her for that presentation. She actually did well. And thank you.
We will put your thoughts and consideration into planning further stages of the competition. Thank you so much. Gift, this brings us to the end of this stage of the competition. Should you proceed to the next, we will contact you. But great presentation, well done.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a great day and do well to exit the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, that was our last participant for the day. I'd like to really appreciate our erudite judges present here today, as in even I am not a history student, but I managed to pick up a thing or two. Thank you so much for sharing from your wealth of experience and knowledge. Thank you for your time. So we'll proceed. We'll continue with the third part of this stage of the competition at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.